Welcome to OJ Studios. I hope you enjoy Punishment by Olivia Julius. Chapter 5 Punishment. I heard car doors closing and I ran to the window just in time to see Mom and Dad both come home at the same time. My heart sank since this is something that hardly ever happens. I watched them getting out of their cars as they talked together. Their voices were muffled so I could hear what they were saying. When they started to get to the front door, I dashed to my bedroom door and closed it. I then took my remote and turned off my TV. As Mom and Dad got into the house, I quickly spread my homework around to make it look like I was working on it, even though it was already completed an hour before school let out. I heard Dad's heavy footsteps walk across the small foyer and head straight for his office while Mom started making dinner. As carefully as I could, I went to my bed and huddled in a small ball, trying not to make too much noise. Maybe if I do not do anything long enough, they will forget about the event of today. I sat at my spot at the table. Dinner was still on the stove, so I knew the talk about what I had done was coming, and soon after I would learn what my punishment would be and what Gracie had suggested. Mom sat down in front of me emotionless and she watched to see if I would break. She quietly slid the pink slips with Mrs. Yolkman's writing on it over to me. There were two different notes, one for disrupting the class, the other for cutting Gracie's hair. Adam, I don't know what to do with you. Mom sighed. We have tried to ground you, but it doesn't seem to work. I silently agreed with her. Nothing they were doing was keeping me from proving to my friends that I was not no sissy. Mom bent over and picked up a large white box and put it on the table in front of me. She let me look at it in question for a minute. I did not know what was in the box, but it scared me. So, I'm going to try a different approach, and I got Gracie's help with it, she said, turning the box around so I could see all the different sides to it. The question of what was in it got bigger in my mind as I tried to take a guess in my mind. Maybe inside were the cutters to cut my hair. This possibility was getting bigger and bigger in my head. Before I could ask her what was in the box, Mom stopped me by putting a hand up. She slid the box over a little and leaned back in her chair. Obviously, she was enjoying keeping me in suspense. You know, Gracie is a sweet and kind young girl. I would have loved to meet her any other time. You know, at a bake sale, or at your end of year party. But instead, I got to meet her when she came in to get her hair fixed after what you did to her hair. Poor girl, she had been growing her hair out since she was 6, and for her age it was amazing to see how well kept it was. Unlike my son, who cannot seem to take care of his. It's a pity that only a week after moving up here she would lose it in a stupid stunt by my own son. Finally, she took and opened the box. I watched as dumped out what was inside, preparing myself to see the clippers. But instead, pieces of clothing fell onto the table in front of me. I looked over the clothing that fell out. My eyes widened and my heart sank as I examined each article. It was not boy clothes but girl clothes. Each article of clothing that I could see looked more girly than the last. Mom picked up a dress out of the pile and held it up for me to see. She looked at it for a second before facing me and smiling. Here is what Gracie said when she told your father and I what type of punishment you should have. Mom said, smiling at me. If he wants to pick on girls, then he can be a girl. I looked over to Dad for help, but instead he remained standing almost unemotional and unmoving. His arms were crossed, and he was looking down at me. Almost the same way that he looked at a student that had been acting up in a classroom. That image of my dad has stuck with me for years to come. I had no help from him at all, and unless I did something fast, I might be stuck wearing these clothes. This was no way to prove to my friends that I was not a sissy. This was the complete opposite. What? I asked. I stood up from the table, trying to be defiant and show her that I was not going to wear these girly clothes without a fight. Mom just ignored me and continued to sort out the rest of the clothing. A pair of underwear were set down first. They were pink with a bow in the front. She also laid down a white undershirt, white tights, and black dress shoes. They were all extremely girly. Lastly, she unpacked the worst thing I could ever imagine in a punishment. She unpacked a black dress with little, short sleeves. Around the neck was little purple flowers, making this dress even more girly. I'm not wearing this, I said, sliding the stuff off the table. I knew the effort was futile, but I had to try something. If my friends saw this, what would they think? They would call me a sissy for sure. I would have to be hanging around Johnny helping her pick his own nose, or Victoria helping her collect bugs off the field. I will be a recluse and an outcast in my class. I think you will. Gracie was even nice enough to lend you some of her clothes, Mom said, as she held up the underwear. and what she couldn't lend to us we took her out shopping with her parents and she picked out the rest. I turned red as I thought of Gracie picking out clothes for me to wear. She must have thought that this was a big joke because nothing in the pile lacked girlishness. You know, she saw this pair of underwear in the package and told me and your dad to make you wear them first, and I must agree, forcing you to wear pink panties first will be fun. There is no way. Adam, you will wear this and other girl clothes for the rest of Easter break. I'm tired of you disobeying me. I froze for a second, remembering that every Easter my family always goes to my aunt's house in Missouri. I thought about asking if we were still going there, but I did not want to make the situation worse. Part of me knew Mom was being serious and a part of me still prayed that Mom and Dad would give me a big scare and send me up to my room with boy clothes still on as they laughed downstairs and commented on how I got the biggest scare of my life. If you're a good little girl, your punishment will end before school begins so your little friends will not even know. Gracie even agreed not to tell anyone. If you don't agree, your punishment will go on and on. Mom said. I froze. I didn't know what to do or say. I was stuck as Mom bent down and grabbed the pile of clothes from the floor and resorted them out in front of me. I thought I recognized the dress from Gracie's first day, but I was not sure since it was not on her now. The dress was black with little pink flowers along the neckline. The bottom of the dress was silky and had many layers of netting-like material making the dress puff out. I really did not want to wear it, and if Mom and Dad were trying to scare me, they were doing a good job. Dad walked around the table and opened a closet door. On the rack inside the closet, I could see hanging up from a hanger was a girl's 4th grade school uniform. I noticed how the polo was a girl's polo and it even had puffed up sleeves like some styles that the girls liked. Trust me, Adam, we are not giving in, he said, taking out a pink suitcase as he opened it, revealing a few days' worth of girly clothes all folded neatly in the suitcase. I wondered if all of these were Gracie's clothes, but I knew better than to ask. So, are you going to go upstairs to put them on? Mom asked, trying to hand me the pile with the dress on top. I mean, you're a girl after all, and you can't be seen in those boyish clothes, you know. I raised an eyebrow and hoped to God that I would not have to wear it, but the odds were slowly not in my favor. I would have rather they do anything else but this. Cut my hair? Fine. Take away my TV? Fine. Make me write a sorry letter for her? Fine. But this? This was just too much. I had to think of a way out. But to be honest, I did not have time to think of an excuse. I could only stand there as Mom held the clothes out to me. I did not want to take them, and if this was just a joke then it stopped being funny a long time ago. Finally, Dad motioned to Mom in that super secret adult sign language, and Mom grabbed me and started to pull my shirt off. I jumped, surprised that this was happening to me. Dad held my lower half as Mom came in with the white spaghetti strap on her shirt and started rolling up the bottom so it would be easier to put it over my head. I watched held down as the girly item with its spaghetti straps went over my head. My arms were forced through the straps as Mom adjusted them so they would sit on my shoulders correctly. I started to cry. I wished that this would just end with a warning, but Mom nor did Dad care. Dad undid my jeans and pulled my pants and my boxers as I tried kicking and squirming, trying to keep them on me, but Mom held my feet down, so my kicking failed. I could feel the pink underwear being pulled up and in place. I screamed with anger as I watched in horror. Please don't, I sobbed, but they continued. Mom rolled up the tights and put them on my feet. I managed to kick them off, but Mom just bent down and grabbed them on the floor. She slid them on while I was kicking and screaming, and somehow, she put them to my waist. The black dress shoes were slid onto my feet and Mom calmly buckled them. Dad finally stood me up on my 2 feet. I was angry and mortified as I stood there wearing the girly clothes. Mom grabbed the dress, the last item on the list of making me the biggest sissy in the school. I stood in terror as she bunched up the dress and put it over my head. I could feel it as it fell and around my knees. The weird feeling of the skirt dancing around my legs wanted me to take it off more. I heard the zipper of the dress go up as the top of the dress got tighter around my chest. Mom bent down to my level. She motioned for me to turn around and I obeyed, and she made a bow around my chest with the purple sash. I was now trapped in the dress. I wanted to get out of it. I felt exposed from Mom and Dad dressing me. I stood in the dining room not wanting to move, not wanting to do anything but take off the clothes. Mom took my hair and she started to brush it out, making it look even more girly. Since I rejected even a trim, Mom had lots of hair to work with. She had Dad put me in a chair and she started working. The hairstylist in her worked almost automatically. But instead of cutting my hair off like I had expected, she was using scissors and combs to straighten and shape the hair to how she wanted it. "Good thing you didn't want your hair cut or else we would have a problem, huh?" Mom whispered in my ear. I cringed a little inside as I thought about how weird it would be if I were stuck wearing this and had a buzz cut like all my friends had their hair. It took her around 15 minutes for her to get done with me. But for me that was an eternity. Once she was done trimming my hair, she made me put my head back in a bucket and she properly shampooed and conditioned my hair. Me kicking and screaming the whole time, of course. But Mom did not stop. She has had 10 years worth of little kids fighting her, so she knew everything to expect with me. Once she was done, she blow-dried my hair and finished shaping it. "Are you done?" I asked, annoyed. "Almost. I'm going to curl your hair really quick." She plugged in her curling iron and waited for it to heat up. "By the way, I would hold still for this part. I don't want to accidentally burn you." "Then don't do it," I said, but Mom just shook her head. "No, trust me honey, you will look so adorable." I rolled my eyes but stayed still. I could feel the heat from the curling iron, and I did not want it to burn me. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Mom was done. She led me up from the chair and walked me over to the mirror in the front foyer. "There you go, now you look like my little princess," Mom said. I rolled my eyes and peered into the mirror and froze. Staring back at me was not myself but a girl. A girl wearing a black dress, white tights, and back dress shoes. Plus, she had the same haircut most girls in her class had. Instead of the wild hair that I mostly had, this girl's hair perfectly shaped her face and made her even more cute looking. There was almost no resemblance between me and this girl. I felt humiliated in the dress, and I did not want to move. The anger built up inside of me and I wanted to take everything off. This was worse than I could imagine. And then it got worse. Dad took out his camera and I could hear a click and he snapped a quick picture of me. I want to eject but Mom was over me ready to pounce if I said something wrong. "You're an adorable girl," Mom said with a little giggle. "Now you are to stay a girl for the next few days or else your dad will post those pictures of you at the school," Mom added. "But Mom," I said but was instantly cut off. "If you don't want your friends to know that you like to wear dresses then I suggest that you cooperate with us," Mom said. My mind instantly turned to Eric and Alex. What if they saw the pictures? They would run away from me at lightning quick speeds. I would be friendless, and stuck playing by myself at the playground. I would go down from the top of the social pyramid down to the bottom instantly. Then the question I had thought about earlier came to my mind. I sucked in a deep breath, not sure if I really wanted to hear it. "What about Aunt George's house?" I asked. My voice was still cracking from all the crying I had just done within the last hour. I was looking forward to the trip but now I had mixed feelings. They would not make me go as a girl, would they? "We already made arrangements with your aunt, she can't wait to see her little niece," Mom said. I could not fully process what was going on. Did Mom honestly expect me to go all the way to Missouri, plus go to the annual Easter fair as a girl? Before I could eject, Mom went and grabbed the dinner plates and had handed them to me. I took them and started putting them on the table without a sound. "Good girl," Mom said as she walked over to the stove to stir the pasta that was now boiling in the pot. I wanted to scream, and I hoped and prayed that my friends would not come over and ask to see me. I remembered before the incident happened Alex had asked if he could come over and grab my copy of Storm Breakout. Was he still planning on getting the game from me? As I thought about my situation, I found myself purposely making sharp turns just so I could feel the dress sway around my legs. The action was at first an automatic response. But as I kept walking, I kept wanting to see if I could make the dress sway even more around my legs. I hated it at first. It was just another reminder that I was now wearing a dress. But I must admit it was a weird feeling, and I did not know what to think of it. The bottom of the dress lightly bumped against my legs. I am not going to lie, I liked the feeling of it. I then wondered how it would feel minus the tights. I knew that I did not want to wear a dress again, but the question about it was adding up in my brain. But I knew that I could not let Mom know that I kind of liked it. That was the last thing I needed. But to my horror, Mom noticed me swaying back and forth and smiled. "Having fun, Amanda?" Mom asked. I stopped and looked at her confused. "That's your name now, Amanda," Mom said as she finished up cooking her famous homemade meatloaf. "Couldn't you have given me one that was a little bit more boyish?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Nope, sorry, Gracie picked the name out for you," she said. I froze when she said that. How much of this did Gracie plan with my mom and dad? I could not believe this was happening. I was going to be the laughingstock of the whole school. Johnny Nose Picker was even going to look down on me. I had to sit down at the table. This was just too much for me to handle. Mom turned around and saw my legs spread apart, a big no-no for girls. "Oh, honey, you can't sit like that," Mom shrieked, walking over to me. "You got to sit like a lady." I looked at her oddly before she finally pulled out another chart from the table. "Like this," she said as she proceeded to teach me how to sit down like a lady in a dress would. "See, with our legs together, Amanda," Mom said, so I closed my legs and put the bottom of the dress around my knees. I could not believe how hard it was to make sure I properly stayed ladylike, and I kind of felt sorry for the girls in my class who always had to wear the uniform jumper every day to class. Then I remembered the uniform in the closet and shuddered when I realized that if I did not do everything Mom told me to this weekend, that was going to be my fate too. "That's good, honey," Mom said. She went back to the kitchen and started fixing our plate. I started to mock her behind her back, but stopped when I heard Dad's footsteps coming in. I did not want to make him even more angry too, so I just decided to keep my thoughts to myself. I hated to be in this, and I wanted to be out of it as soon as I could. I decided in my mind that I would go along with this until after the trip, and then I could be a boy again. I meant, how long could they keep me dressed up as a girl anyways? I was now in survival mode, and I knew that I had to play them their game if I wanted to still be on top of the social hierarchy at school.